I'm gonna have it plugged in. I did it. Hello, hello, hello. It's Dr. Sasheen. Welcome to Tuesday Tea Time. I'm your host. I'm also the host of Women in Transition podcast. Welcome to Tuesdays. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been here, so hopefully everyone gets notifications on. I almost forgot to plug in my microphone, y'all. It's kind of the kind of day that it's been. Okay, so we're taking a break. This is a 30-minute break and a chance to reset, reflect, chit chat, have a cup of tea. I've got my kettle going. I'm about to get my teacup out. And if no one shows up for the live stream itself, you'll have a chance to watch the replay as it will post live to YouTube like just as soon as we're done. Anyway, welcome to December. I have not had a chance to say hello. Welcome to December. If you've been keeping up on the channel, you know we're doing the 25 days of Advent by counting down each day each day of Advent, which is the first 24 plus, Christmas Day, days of December. We have been counting down with an inspirational, motivational daily quote. So if you haven't had a chance to look at those, we're on day 9 today, December 9th, ninth day of Advent. We've done 8 so far. I really like the fact that my community helped to put all these together. So each day we listen as I pull one for the new day, we get something that inspires us from us, which I think is super cool. And I'm excited and I can't wait to do it again next year because I don't usually do Advent, but this year everyone around me was like, oh, we should do Advent, we should do Advent. And so many cool Advent calendars are out there. Hey, Wendy, good morning to you as well. So many really cool Advent calendars are out there. And I, have gotten them as gifts before. And I was like, wanting to do something special for the community for the to kind of kick off the holiday, and we decided on the holiday party, which if you missed the first annual Bits and Bubbles holiday party, which was we held it on Black Friday, so it was great because it was like, oh, there's all this chatter in the air about Black Friday and Black Friday, so we just decided to get together and hang out and share our favorite Christmas holiday bits and baubles, and we had such a great time. It was just such a good time. So, in that spirit, I put the call out to the community and said, hey, send me some inspirational, quotational things that really motivate you. And let me put them together in an Advent calendar for our community, which is what I've done. So, we were on day 9 of our community Advent calendar. Again, if you haven't seen them, they're all listed on the YouTube channel under the community post tab. And I think it's awesome that we can take those sayings from each other as a way to say, hey, first of all, here's something that has inspired me when I want a little bit of inspiration or has touched my life. But also, hey, listen, we're out here helping each other lift our boats, right? And sometimes that boat needs to be lifted a little bit more by us for you. And so this is our way of lifting you every day to make sure that you get a little extra oomph behind you. So I was looking through, hang on, I hear the kettle is starting to kettle. So this is tea break. It is tea time. So let's make sure that we get some tea going. Because I don't know about you all, but I could use something warm and tea today. What are you drinking today, Wendy? Talk to me. We're going to be using a cup of love from the Great Wolf Lodge. Good morning, Michelle. From the Great Wolf Lodge, I got this cup when I took my son, my family actually, to the Great Wolf Lodge the first time. One of my favorite cups. It's massive. Like it holds an inordinate amount of liquid, which is good because I need an inordinate amount of liquid. Okay, hold tight. Let me go grab my tea bag and turn the kettle off. Y'all know I like the kettle part. This morning, we're getting indigo because I'm in the mood for some indigo punch, which, as you know, or if you don't know, it's the butterfly pea flower. Oh, no problem, Michelle. We missed you too. We missed you too. We were like, we thought Michelle was going to be with us, but I got your email, and just know that it was the first annual, and we're already talking about what should we do next time. So I think we've got a winner on our hands. You already drank all my coffee. I am on my second cup of tea. So, all right, let me get my hot water. Okay. I love the sound of that kettle. I didn't have the whistle on because otherwise it would be obnoxiously loud right now. But I love the sound of the kettle because of the ping of the metal as it heats up and cools down. Just reminds me of being a kid. Sometimes you just, you know, certain things are a sense memory of being a kid. So as I was saying, we our Advent is on day 9, and I was rolling through social media this morning as I try to spend about 30 minutes getting caught up on the world because I go do not disturb at night. Does anybody else go do not disturb at night? Do you just turn your phone off, or you turn it so that you can't get notifications or phone calls um, after a certain time? Am I the only person who does that? I totally do that. So I get up in the morning and the first thing I don't do is check social media, but I do check my notifications just to see if I missed anything that's necessary for me to handle. So as I'm perusing through social media after brushing my teeth and washing my face and all that jazz, I happened to come across this meme from I follow this channel called Tiny Buddha. It's a really great channel, and they put out inspiration daily. And one of the things, though, sometimes they put out things that are just a little heavy, a little heavy, but they're heavy in the way that just makes you think and makes you go, okay, that's something I probably want to pay attention to, or at least for me, it's like, that's interesting. I wonder if other people feel that way too. So I was looking at Tiny Buddha this morning, and I want to see if I can't find it really quickly. I may or may not be able to. Um, and if I don't, then that's fine. But one of the memes that came out, which I thought was really interesting, was that because I tend to say, okay, let me back up. I tend to say, you know, we're in this armada together. We're not all riding in the same boat, but we're all in the same ocean. And my goal in my channel and on my podcast is to help women lift their boat to wherever their next best chapter is going to take them. And together we can all lift each other's boats, right? And they said, so their meme today was something very similar, which is, we're all in the same ocean. Oh, here it is. I just found it. Okay. It said, we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. Some have yachts, some have canoes, and some are drowning. Just be kind and help whoever you can. And that came from Damien Barr on Tiny Buddha. And it really struck me because I thought, as I was thinking about our community and the platform I'm trying to build on YouTube through the other avenues that I'm trying to get the word out there, is to say we don't all have to be in the same boat. It isn't necessary for your boat to look like my boat, and my boat needs to look like that boat. I don't care if your boat is a 90-foot yacht or a tugboat. I don't care. What I care about is that the ocean that we're all in, eddies and currents and ups and downs and rogue waves and whatnot, are hitting us all. And especially as women, we can be assured that we are looking out for each other's boats, and that helps us all get through. And I think if we remember that what my boat looked like and what your boat looks like isn't necessarily the issue. The issue is, I see there's a hole in your boat. Can I help you? You see there's a hole in my boat. Can you help me? Right? I see that your sailboat has sails that look like they need a little love. Can we help you get some love on those sails so that you can go strong on the course that you are following? Right? And that's the beauty of being this in this age, in this time of life, is that we've come through some rogue waves and some heavy eddies and some deep currents. And we know that the surface level of the water is never the real story of anybody's life. It is the moment that the water happens to be in, whether it's calm or tumultuous, it's going to pass. It's going to pass. But what makes it pass so much better, so much easier, is knowing that somewhere out there is another set of boats looking for me, right? They're out there looking for me, and they're looking for me because they want to make sure I'm okay. And they want me to know that they're okay, and together we are making sure that everybody's okay, and that we're all sailing off in the directions that we want to be going in, because the horizon goes on forever. We're not going to lose sight of each other, even when we curve the world and come back around. We're going to come back around. It's a big old circle. Well, sphere. So I just thought that was a very beautiful way to start December because I haven't seen y'all in like a week. To start December with the reminder that we're not all in the same boat. We never have been, and we're not going to start now, but we are all on the same ocean. All the oceans of the world are connected, right? We give them different names by virtue of where they are on the planet, but all the bodies of water, all the oceans of the world are actually one vast ocean, one very, very large ocean. And if we keep that in mind, that helps us remember that just because it's happening over in the North Sea as opposed to down in the Pacific Ocean doesn't mean it's not going to get over to the Pacific Ocean eventually. And we need to prepare for that. That's how storms move. So anyway, all that to say, I hope that December is starting well in the boat that you are in. It's the ninth day of the month. We're on the ninth day of Advent. I can't wait to post the new Advent for today. I hope that you find and are finding that December feels easier or less hard than November. A lot of folks felt November was pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, November was noisy. Very noisy. So hang on, I got comments going on and I'm missing them all the way. Wendy, you're drinking coffee. Have another 44 in California. Oh, that is freezing for California. Oh my gosh. That's downright parka weather for California. Um, it is so California is one of my favorite places. If I could live, it's one of the few places that so I've lived on all just about all corners of this continent so far, north of the United States. I've lived on the East Coast, I've lived on the West Coast, I've lived in the Midwest. I have not lived in the South, but I've jumped the mainland and I've moved off to an island. So I've lived in a lot of places. I have also visited a huge swath of this country, which a lot of folks don't do. And I really wish people would travel, even if they just traveled the states more. I really wish they would just get out of their state more. I remember the first time we ever drove out of, I'm from Missouri originally. We ever drove, and we had family everywhere. So, family, you go to, at least my family did. We were constantly driving to Texas and Arkansas and Colorado. Like that was our, our loop. Um, but those road trips were really important for my development, for understanding that the world didn't stop at the Missouri border, that a lot of things happened in other places, and that the world looked vastly different in other places, right? So Missouri to Arkansas doesn't look very different. It's beautiful. Like if you've never driven through the Midwest or kind of down the Great Plains, um, you don't really understand how vast and big it really is out here. Like it's pretty big. But when you start getting down south towards the boot heel of Missouri, down towards Oklahoma, Arkansas, it's the Ozarks. It's vast swaths of forested land. It's gorgeously beautiful. And if it wasn't for the darn you know who's down there, I would visit there all the time because it's just some of the most beautiful terrain. Um, but then as a kid, I would go through there, then we'd start heading towards Colorado, right? And you start driving towards Colorado and you pass through Kansas and you go Oklahoma and sorry, um, my geography's gonna be off. So you go through Kansas, which is very flat. Very flat. In fact, I believe Kansas has geographically is the flattest place, one of the flattest places. I know one of the flattest places in the United States. It might be on the planet. It is so flat. Anyway, but once you get out of the plains and you start heading towards Colorado, wide open spaces of, Wyoming, Montana, um, but the vastness of this country is mind blowing. And if you've never gone to see it, you just don't know how beautiful it is, but also how stinking big it is. I don't even think people understand the scale of some of the things. Like I've driven across the Great Divide 4 times, the Continental Divide, which is the place, you have to go. It's Montana. Is it Montana? Yeah, where the water starts to flow in a different direction, right? The first time we were up there, it was just like I am literally on top of the world. Like I'm not on top of the world, but it is so high. The Rockies are so big. I mean, they're just, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I've driven through the Rockies, the Appalachians, oh, the ones that run through Arizona. I'm gonna forget what they're called. Mm, it'll come to me. I've driven through mountain ranges. I've driven through huge forests. I've visited so many places. And all this comes back to say California is one of my favorite places. Michelle, you're in one of my favorite places I've ever had the pleasure of visiting, and I visited multiple times. I visited San Francisco, San Diego, LA. I think that's it. I haven't gone north. I haven't gone any further north than San Francisco, but we had a blast. We've had a blast. And if I could afford to, I would totally move to California. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. Just the sheer size of California is crazy, right? But also, you can just encounter so many different ecosystems in one place, right? From the Inland Empire to the sea. It's just from the Inland Empire to the ocean. There's such vastness to the north and the redwoods and the forest to the south and Baja, and you can go whale watching. It's just you don't even have to leave the state to get a sense of the vastness of the continent. You can just go from northern to southern California and be like, okay, like if the whole country is like this is crazy. This is like there's all kinds of things. And it's just a beautiful sentiment when you stop and think about if you never left the United States. I firmly believe in leaving the United States. I think everybody should have their passport and get to getting. But if you never leave the United States, um, you know, land mass, at least leave your state. At least get out there and see what the heck everybody's talking about, right? Oh my gosh, Michelle, that's it exactly. It's just it's crazy the things that you can do in California and never leave the state, right? Like and just never leave the state. It's truly one of my favorite places in the whole world. And I'll never forget. Okay, see, y'all got me on tangents this morning. I'll never forget the first time I was driving down Rosecrans headed towards Manhattan Beach, which is one of my all-time favorite places to be. And there's this great little breakfast place in Manhattan Beach that I love. Every time I go to California, I go there. Anyway, I remember the first time I did this drive though, getting in California. I hadn't been there yet. I stayed someplace in LA, I forget. And I decided to rent a car because I had like a day to kill and go driving. And I was like driving up Rosecrans. I hit this crest. There's like this one spot on Rosecrans where if you're when you hit it, the ocean just kind of opens up in front of you. And I was just in awe. It was so cool because I'd been to the ocean before. It wasn't like I'd never seen the ocean, but it had always been East Coast. I'd spent summers in the East Coast because my dad was from Jersey. And so I was just like, gosh, that's really amazing. Like, hold on a minute. What is this sun-dappled body of glistening water over here is beautiful. And then I was driving down because you hit the crest and then you start driving down towards the water. And I park and I walk over to the boardwalk. I'm on Manhattan Beach. There's this freaking boat in the distance that looks huge anyway. So you know it's massive because in the distance it looks massive. So up close, that sucker had to be the length of at least 4 or 5 football fields. It was massive. Um, yeah, yeah, it was massive. But it was just the coolest moment. It was my first trip by myself to California, not for work. I'd come to visit a friend that had fallen through. I was on my own, killing some time before I got back on the plane to come back to Missouri. And so I was just killing some time. And I remember this trip so vividly because it is the first time I was there by myself with no one to kind of guardrail me. And it was the end of a friendship. And so it was a really bittersweet moment to be having this really cool experience. But the person I'd come there to share it with was no longer going to be in my life because our friendship was going to end over this event. But it was so cool. So every time I could go back, I did. Every time I got the opportunity to go back, I was like, yep, I'm going. I want to see more of this beautiful place called Manhattan Beach. I did start to trek out a little bit more. Right. I did start to spread out a bit, and we got to drive down the PCH and with the top down. I did the whole top down on the PCH kind of thing. And I just realized that, man, I can see why folks if you've never visited California, you don't know. You gotta go. You just gotta go. It's such a cool environment. If you don't like the people, fine, but it's a cool environment. Yeah, it's just cool. Yeah, you can do, like you said, you can surf and ski in the same day if you play your cards right. The right time of year, you can literally start at the north end and end up in the water on the south end. It's pretty cool. So, all that to say, if you've never gotten out of the state though that you've ever been in, and you can't leave the country, leave the state because the state's easier to roll out of than the country is. And I think we get really locked into this idea that we can't go places. We can't explore beyond, the five places we went as a kid, or we can't do anything a little bit different because, oh, what would I do when I got there? Get out and walk around. Look at the sky, look at the ground. I remember the first night I spent in the desert was Arizona. I went to Tucson to visit friends. My first time in the desert, and it was the sky was so clear, right? And I remember thinking when I was driving through Montana one night that it reminded me of the sky in Arizona because I had never seen stars so bright in my life as the first night I spent in the desert in Tucson, because we went out and we sat outside under the stars and just watched the sky. And I had that same feeling of awe driving through Montana and Wyoming, and they call it Big Sky Country. The Wyoming Montana area, they call that Big Sky Country. They're not lying. Like, I can imagine standing there for the first time and being just overwhelmed at the vastness of the fact that the sky and the horizon just merge, and it just looks like the sky goes on forever. It really does just look like the sky goes on forever. Now, sometimes that can get monotonous, especially if you're driving through it. But if you appreciate the beauty of just the world, the nature, the natural world, it's pretty breathtaking. Which is why sometimes when I see those memes of foreigners who come to America, and they like, this is the reason why people don't leave America, and they like round a bend and come out into the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, well, yeah, because this country, this land mass has got everything: waterfalls, canyons, volcanoes, water. I mean, just everything. It has everything, everything. And it could take you years to explore it all. Absolutely years to explore it all. So, what is 2026 going to look like for us? What are we doing for 2026? We're only weeks away from the new year. Thinking about what we're going to do as a community, what the channel is going to look like. Not a whole lot's going to change, though I am going to be adding some things. What are we going to look like in 2026? Have you started thinking about the possibilities for what's to come? Michelle, you had me wishing I was in California, because you're right. If I get up early enough, I could take my family skiing and we could end the day surfing and then have a little barbecue. Have a little barbecue as the day wears down. My son really wants to see whales, and I know that you can in Southern Cali. Southern California whale watching is definitely a possibility for 2026 if we stay stateside. So, but I think about 2026, we're going to, as a community, think about how we can help lift each other towards our peace, how we can continue to help build the kind of boats that we want to build in the next iteration of our life, whatever that's going to look like. We are now a year into, a certain foundation's global governmental takeover. And there are some questions I think that all of us are going to have to face and reckon with over the course of the next 6 to 8 to 12 weeks, right? About what's going to be next for you individually, for you, but also for us as a collective. And it's important to have those kind of conversations when the noise level starts to come down, which is why the dead of winter is a perfect time for reflection. So as we march towards the 21st of December, which is solstice night, so that is the longest night of the year, as we march towards solstice night, and I want you to think about how you're going to prepare yourself to step into back into the light, because I love having the 21st, summer and winter solstice. I love doing a long day of planning and thinking about what's coming next, because summer solstice reminds us that, okay, the darkness is coming again. The world is going to start shifting. The southern hemisphere is going to start waking up out of winter. The northern hemisphere is going to start shaking off summer and thinking about the cold. Well, the winter solstice reminds us, okay, so we're about to enter the dark heart of winter, the dark, deepest parts of winter, when the days are so short and the nights are so long. But into that darkness comes a great time of reflection, a great time to take stock and assess. Like, I don't wait till New Year's, because for me, New Year's is just an arbitrary day on the calendar put forth by a bunch of folks who need to keep track of their money. For me, solstices are much easier because it makes sense. There's the fiscal year, but then there's, for me, there's the rhythmic year, right? And so on the 21st, for me this year, especially because we unfortunately had a death in the family in the past week, so we're having a funeral service on the 20th. I believe it's the 21st. The 21st is solstice this year. On that solstice day, I like to reflect and think about, what am I going to be like when the light fully returns, right? Where do I want to be when we cross into the days becoming longer and the nights becoming shorter, right? Because it's going to be an incremental march, pun intended. It's going to be that incremental march until the equinox, right? Until the spring equinox. But from winter solstice to spring equinox, I get to spend a lot of time reflecting on what is next and how I want to live in the light when the light takes over again. I don't mind the dark part of the year. I think we all deserve a chance to hibernate to some degree. We all deserve a chance to stop and slow down, and the noise of life deserves a chance to get buffered down. And that's why I feel like when it snows, it's a great auditory moment, right? Because literally snow muffles everything. So even if it doesn't snow though, the idea is that the day is still going to get shorter. The nights are still going to get longer. And in those long nights between solstice and equinox are a good time to plan what it's going to be like for you when the light fully returns and our energy really kicks back up again, and we're ready to tackle what's next, right? Ready to go forth and do whatever it is that we want to do in that next phase. So for some of you, this will not it will mean nothing to you because you're like solstice, equinox, whatever. But think of it as New Year's resolution time. Think of it as pre-year planning. For some people, that starts on December 31st. For some of us, it starts on December 21st. That's all. The goal is the same, though. It's to utilize the natural rhythm of the world to help you buffer and bound yourself from the outside noise, so that you can think about what's the next step of your life, so that you can think about what are the boundaries I need to make sure that I keep for 2026, but what are the boundaries that might need to become a little more flexible in 2026? Because sometimes our boundaries have worked up to a point, but they may not be working for us anymore. And so it might be time, right, to assess where we need to become more fluid in our boundaries. Maybe let some things in that we've been keeping out, or maybe the boundary just doesn't work anymore and it's time to erect a new one. Right? I'm sure 2025's lessons for a lot of us are going to include lessons in resilience and endurance and long suffering and tragedy and hurt, but there are also some lessons in joy and understanding and expansion and living and loving and finding solace in each other and community and the return of small spaces, because obviously trying to be friends with everybody was a bad idea, right? It's just important, I think, that you find your pocket this in the next 3 weeks. Sorry, everyone. Your pocket in the next 3 weeks that allows you to stop and assess and take stock of where you want to be when the light starts to come back. If you want to consider, oh, hang on a minute. I love a good road trip. If you want to consider Cali, oh yes, I'd love to enjoy Cali. Everyone, you're near Napa. Oh my gosh, listen. You're in Napa. Listen, lady, you might get me out there. I might never leave. You might get me out there and I might never leave. This could be a problem. Monterey, Wales, San Francisco Theater, and Wales. I do love San Fran. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I listen to old songs. My poor kids, my poor son. He's like, we listen to some of the oldest music, but it's yeah. So I'm one of those people. When I was standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, I was like, I'm standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. I'm that kind of person. I'm the kind of person who, because we learned about Haight Ashbury when I was standing in Haight Ashbury, I was like, right. It's just I'm that kind of person. So um, I like the I like the geography of music, and I love the geography of life. Giant redwoods, Yosemite, Tahoe. I'm telling you, you're gonna have me trying to move to California, and I can't move to California. All right. So I am thinking on the 21st so that I bring us to a close because it's 11:30 and I know y'all have things to do because it's our tea break. But it is my planning day and I'm thinking that I might hold an hour long planning session or maybe 30 45 minutes planning session. Um if anyone would like to join me to talk about or to contemplate what 2026 could look like, what it might look like, but we'll see. I'm not putting that in stone because, as I said, we have some family business that must be attended to this month, unfortunately, and so my schedule's a little less flexible than it was before. But I will still be on the 21st, looking forward to how I intend to spend 2026 and ready to walk into a season of rest, a season of peace, and a season of slowing down a little bit, just a little bit. But I'm curious to hear what you think about 2026. What do you think you're going to do? When are you going to start making some plans? What do you hope for? What do you wish for? What are you dreaming about for 2026? What are you dreaming about? We'll end it there. I will see you all Thursdays. We'll be back to our normal Thursday drops. More new content is coming. Again, I do apologize for being absent for a couple of weeks. As I said, we had so a death in our family, and so my family is just very closed in right now, so I don't have as much time as I've needed, but I will be back in the saddle and we'll be back on schedule. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, everyone who joined me today. I really appreciate all of you, and I will see you soon. My tea is now cool enough that I can actually go drink it. So I'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.